You made a decision today. You thought it was yours. It wasn't. Someone nodded at you, and you nodded back. Someone gave you a weak reason, and you still said yes. Someone repeated something just a few times, and now you believe it. That's not coincidence. That's control. And the worst part? You didn't even notice it happening. There are 10 hidden psychological triggers running under your conversations every day. You've already fallen for most of them, but the last one? That one has probably shaped your entire personality without you realizing it. Stay with me. Part 1. The nod. Picture this. You are in a meeting. Your manager is explaining a new process. You do not fully agree with it. You are about to say something, but then you notice they are nodding, slowly, confidently, like the decision is already made, like your agreement is already assumed. And something strange happens. Your head starts moving too. A small dip forward, almost automatic. You did not decide to do it, it just happened. By the end of the meeting, you have agreed to something you did not want to agree to. You walk out confused. You tell yourself you just were not assertive enough. You blame yourself, but it was not about assertiveness. It was biology, the hidden signal. Your brain has a built-in mirroring system. When you watch someone perform a physical action, parts of your brain activate as if you are performing that action yourself. Nodding while speaking is not just politeness. In the right hands, it is a controlled signal. When someone nods at you during persuasion, your brain picks it up. You nod back. And the moment your body nods, your brain receives a quiet internal message: I am agreeing. My body says so. That is the nodding strategy. And most people using it do not even know they are doing it. The ones who do know they are doing it, watch them closely. What you can do. The next time you feel your head moving while someone is talking to you, stop consciously. Ask yourself, am I agreeing with this, or is my body just following theirs? That 1 second of pause breaks the loop. Part 2. The silence that speaks. Here's a situation you have been in before. You ask someone a question, maybe in a negotiation, maybe in an argument, maybe in a job interview, and they say nothing. Just silence. 5 seconds pass, 10 seconds. It starts to feel uncomfortable, almost painful. And then you start talking, filling the gap, explaining yourself more, offering more, conceding more. You did not plan to do that. The silence pulled it out of you. Why this happens? Humans are wired to find silence threatening, socially threatening. In our evolutionary past, silence from another person often meant something was wrong: disapproval, danger, rejection. So your brain developed an automatic response: fill the silence, fix the tension, say something. A trained negotiator knows this. They ask a question, and then they wait. They wait longer than is comfortable. They let the silence do the work, because they know whoever speaks first loses ground. This is used in sales calls, in interrogations, in salary negotiations, in relationship arguments. Where it gets dangerous, the dangerous version of this, when someone uses silence not to think, but to punish. The silent treatment in relationships is weaponized silence. It triggers the same primal anxiety, and it often makes the other person apologize for things they did not do wrong, just to end the discomfort. Silence stops being communication. It becomes control, what you can do. When you face uncomfortable silence, name it out loud. Say, I notice we have both gone quiet. Take your time. That one sentence breaks the social pressure. You have acknowledged the silence without surrendering to it. Part 3. The word that bypasses your brain. There is one word in the English language that makes people comply with requests more than almost any other. It does not matter what comes after the word. It barely matters if what comes after makes any sense. The word is because. The hidden signal. Psychologist Ellen Langer ran an experiment at a photocopy machine. One group asked, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. Can I use the machine?" 60% of people let them through. The second group asked, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. Can I use the machine because I am in a rush?" 94% compliance. Now here's where it gets interesting. The third group said, Can I use the machine because I need to make copies? That is not a reason. That is just restating the request. 93% compliance. The brain heard the word because, and it went on autopilot. It assumed a valid justification had been given. It stopped evaluating. Why this happens? Your brain runs on shortcuts. It has to. You make thousands of decisions a day. If you fully analyzed every single one, you would collapse from mental exhaustion by noon. So your brain creates rules of thumb. One of those rules is this: if a reason was given, the request is probably legitimate. The word because is a trigger. It activates compliance mode. Advertisers know this. Managers know this. Children figure it out by age 4. The question is, are you aware of it when it happens to you? What you can do. When someone makes a request with the word because attached, slow down. Ask yourself, is this an actual reason? Or is it just the word because followed by noise? The evaluation takes 3 seconds. Most people never take those 3 seconds. Part 4. The foot in the door. There is a salesperson who never asks for the sale first. He asks if you have 5 minutes for a quick survey. You say yes. It is only 5 minutes. He asks if you would mind answering 3 questions about your lifestyle. Sure, it is just questions. He asks if he can show you one product that fits what you described. Fine, just one product. 20 minutes later, you have bought something you walked in with absolutely no intention of buying. You were not pressured. You were not lied to. You were walked in through a door that you opened yourself. Why this happens? This is called the foot in the door technique, and it works because of one of the most powerful forces in human psychology, the need for internal consistency. Once you say yes to something, your brain files that away as data about who you are. I am someone who agreed to this. The next request comes. It is slightly larger, but your brain is now working to stay consistent with your previous decision. Saying no would create conflict with your self-image. So you say yes again, and again. The door was opened with one small yes. Everything after that was just walking through. Where it gets dangerous. This technique shows up in high-stakes situations too. In toxic relationships, it often starts with small asks, small boundary pushes. By the time the big violations happen, you have already said yes to 50 small ones. And leaving feels inconsistent with who you have been in that relationship. The foot in the door is not just a sales tactic. It is a way people slowly get you to become someone you never planned to be. What you can do. Evaluate every request independently. Ask, does this make sense for me right now? Not? Did I say yes before? Your previous decisions do not obligate your future ones. Part 5. The anchor. You walk into a clothing store. The first thing you see is a jacket. 25,000 rupees. You do not buy it. It is expensive. You move on. 10 minutes later, you find another jacket. 8,000 rupees. It feels reasonable, almost like a deal. You buy it. But here is what you do not know. That 25,000 rupee jacket was never meant to be sold. It was placed there to change your brain. The hidden signal. This is called anchoring, and it is one of the most well-documented cognitive biases in existence. The first number you see in any negotiation, transaction, or comparison becomes the anchor. Your brain uses it as a reference point for everything that follows. An 8,000 rupee jacket, evaluated on its own, expensive. That same jacket, seen after a 25,000 rupee one, a bargain. Same jacket, different anchor, completely different brain. Why this happens? Research by Kahneman and Tversky showed that anchoring affects even trained professionals. Judges gave shorter sentences when they rolled a lower number on a die before sentencing. Doctors changed their treatment recommendations based on arbitrary numbers they were shown before making a diagnosis. The anchor does not have to be logical. It does not have to be related. It just has to come first. Because your brain is not evaluating things in absolute terms. It is evaluating them in relative terms. compared to what came before. What you can do. In any negotiation, identify the anchor before you react to it. Ask yourself, what would my reference point be if I had not seen that number first? Then evaluate from there. Part 6. The mirror. Have you ever left a conversation feeling unusually good about someone you just met? Like they just got you, understood you without you even having to explain yourself. There is a good chance they were mirroring you. Mirroring is the subtle act of matching another person's body language, their speech pace, their tone, and even their specific word choices. When it is done skillfully, you do not notice it consciously. You just feel a sense of comfort, familiarity, trust. Why this happens? We trust what feels familiar, and we feel familiar with things that resemble us. When someone mirrors your posture, your brain registers them as similar to you. And similar means safe. Similar means trustworthy. Similar means they are in my group. This was survival logic for early humans. Your tribe moved like you, sounded like you. Mirroring was a sign of belonging. Today, a skilled negotiator or a skilled manipulator uses it deliberately. They study how you sit, how fast you speak, what words you repeat, and they feed it all back to you. You feel understood, but you were not understood. You were copied. Where it gets dangerous. The dangerous version is people who use mirroring to manufacture false intimacy quickly. Love bombing often involves aggressive mirroring. You like hiking? I love hiking. You feel misunderstood? I have always felt misunderstood too. They become a reflection of you. And it is intoxicating, because everyone wants to feel seen. But a mirror only shows you yourself, not another person. What you can do. When you feel unusually connected to someone very quickly, slow down. Ask yourself, do I actually know who they are? Or do I only know how they make me feel about myself? Those are two very different things. Part 7. The stumble. Confidence pushes people away. A small mistake pulls them in. This is called the Pratfall Effect. It was discovered by psychologist Elliot Aronson in 1966. When a highly competent person makes a small, visible blunder, spilling coffee, mispronouncing a word, dropping their notes, their likability actually increases. Not for average people, for already competent people specifically. Because perfection creates distance, the stumble closes it. Why this happens? We are wired to distrust things that seem too perfect. Evolutionarily, perfection was a signal of deception, something hiding its flaws. A small mistake sends a different signal. This person is not performing. They are real. The brain drops its guard. Warmth increases. A connection forms. Politicians use this. Executives use this. Anyone who understands that the goal is not to appear flawless. The goal is to appear trustworthy. The stumble is sometimes genuine, and sometimes it is very, very deliberate. What you can do. When you see a public figure make a small, visible mistake at a convenient moment, notice it. Not every stumble is unplanned. Real vulnerability is uncomfortable, not charming. When someone's mistake feels charming, ask yourself who it serves. Part 8. The favor that changes everything. Benjamin Franklin had an enemy, a political rival, someone who actively disliked. Instead of trying to charm him, Franklin did something unusual. He asked to borrow a book. The rival lent it. Franklin returned it with a polite note. And from that point on, the rival's attitude toward Franklin shifted. They became friendly. Franklin wrote about it himself. He said, "He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another." This became known as the Ben Franklin effect, the hidden signal. Here is the psychology underneath it. When someone dislikes you and you ask them for a small favor, they face an internal problem. Their action, which was helping you, contradicts their feeling, which was disliking you. The brain cannot hold both for long. Something has to give. So it rewrites the feeling. I helped this person. I must not actually dislike them as much as I thought. This is called cognitive dissonance resolution. The brain changes the attitude to match the behavior, not the other way around. What you can do. If you need to shift someone's attitude toward you, do not perform for them. Do not try to impress them. Ask them for something small, something they can comfortably do. Let their own behavior do the work. Part 9. The door in the face. Someone asks you for 10,000 rupees. You say no. They immediately follow up, okay, what about 2,000? Suddenly, 2,000 feels reasonable, almost like you owe it to them. You say yes. But if they had asked for 2,000 first, you might have negotiated down, or said no entirely. The large request changed your perception of the small one. Why this happens? Two things happen simultaneously in your brain. First contrast. 2,000 rupees after 10,000 feels small. Proportionally, your brain evaluates it as a fraction of the original, not as a standalone number. Second, reciprocity. They made a concession. They came down. Now social pressure says you should meet them somewhere. You did not agree to 2,000 because it was fair. You agreed because the sequence engineered your response. What you can do. When a large request is followed immediately by a smaller one, pause. Reset to 0. Evaluate the smaller request as if the large one never existed. The first number was never the real ask. It was always just the setup. Part 10. The lie you were told enough times to believe. Have you ever heard something repeated so many times that you stopped questioning it? A belief about yourself, a belief about the world, a belief about what is normal, what is expected, what is possible for someone like you. You do not remember where you first heard it. You just know that you have heard it 100 times. And now it feels true. It might not be. The hidden signal. This is called the illusory truth effect. The more times you hear something, the more familiar it becomes. And your brain uses familiarity as a shortcut for truth. Familiar equals safe. Familiar equals established. Familiar equals probably true. This effect is so powerful that it works even when you know the information is false. Even when you were told up front, this is not accurate. Repeated exposure still increases belief, where it gets dangerous. This is the mechanism behind propaganda, behind advertising, behind the quiet stories you were told about yourself growing up. The people around you did not need to be intentionally malicious. They just needed to repeat things often enough. You are too sensitive. Repeated enough times, you stopped being sensitive and started being ashamed of it. People like us do not do things like that. Repeated enough times, you stopped trying. The illusory truth effect does not need a conspiracy. It just needs repetition. What you can do. For every belief you hold about yourself that limits you, find the original source. Ask, did I arrive at this through evidence? Or did I just hear it enough times? Familiarity is not truth. Repetition is not proof. You are allowed to audit what you believe about yourself. Conclusion. The nod that moved your head. The silence that pulled words out of you. The word because that bypassed your thinking. The small yes that led to 100 more. The anchor that made you see value where there was none. The mirror that made you feel known when you were just being copied. The stumble that made someone seem real when they were performing. The favor that quietly rewired someone's feelings. The large ask that made the small one feel inevitable. The repeated lie that became your belief. These are not exotic manipulation techniques. They are your daily reality. The difference now is You see them. And that changes everything. Because you cannot be controlled by a mechanism you can observe. You cannot be moved by a string you can see. Now you see them all. The moment you see the pattern, you are no longer inside it.